Hello, welcome to the latest of the Sunderland Millfield Band Friday Fellowships. In recent days, there are quite a number of our people who have been affected by circumstances, and we trust that they will appreciate that we are thinking of them in prayer, and we hold them very dearly in our hearts. We tonight are looking forward to hearing or joining with Hugh Smith as he brings to us the quiz, and then I'm sure that you'll enjoy listening to Graham Wharton as he expounds on his experiences over the last few months. So welcome Hugh, and once Hugh has given us his answers, we'll then listen to Graham. Thank you for watching. Stick with us.
Good evening. Welcome to the quiz. This quiz will consist of 22 questions, all of which are completely random. Question 1. What is the capital of Poland? Question 2. Which musician's real name is Reginald Kenneth Dwight? Question 3. What was the most downloaded app of 2020? Question 4. Europe is separated from Africa by which sea? Question 5. What is the collective name for a group of crows? Question 6. Who was the only person in the UK who was allowed to drive without a licence? Question 7. How many countries still have the shilling as a currency? Question 8. How many Olympic gold medals has Mo Farah won? Question 9. What is the Chinese New Year animal for 2021? Question 10. Which beetle crossed Abbey Road first? Question 11. Which of Shakespeare's plays is the longest? Question 12. Enchiladas originated in which country? Question 13. What colour is a giraffe's tongue? Question 14. Which year was the Premier League founded? Question 15. How many teeth does the average adult human have? Question 16. How many times has Andy Murray won Wimbledon? What is the biggest animal in the world? That's question 17. Question 18. Who came second in the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2019? Question 18. No. Question 19. What year did Margaret Thatcher die? Question 20. Who painted the Mona Lisa? Question 21. Which planet is closest to the Sun? And question 22. What is the largest country in the world? I think there's 22 questions there. Let's quickly run through the answers. is the capital of Poland? That's Warsaw. Which musician's real name is Reginald Kenneth Dwight? That's Elton John. What was the most downloaded app of 2020? That's TikTok. Europe is separated from Africa by which sea? That's the Mediterranean. What is the collective name for a group of crows? That's a murder of crows. Who is the only person in the UK who is allowed to drive without a licence? That's the Queen. How many countries still use the shilling as currency? 4. How many Olympic gold medals has Mo Farah won? 4. What is the Chinese New Year animal for 2021? Ox. Which Beatle crossed Abbey Road first? John Lennon. Which of Shakespeare's plays is the longest? That's Hamlet. Enchiladas originated in which country? That country's Mexico. What colour is a giraffe's tongue? That's blue. Which year was the Premier League founded? It was founded in 1992. How many teeth does the average adult human have? 32. How many times has Andy Murray won Wimbledon? Twice. What is the biggest animal in the world? That's the blue whale. Who came second in the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2019? The Netherlands. What year did Margaret Thatcher die? 2013. Who painted the Mona Lisa? Leonardo da Vinci. Which planet is closest to the Sun? That's Mercury. What is the largest country in the world? Russia. God bless.
Good evening. It's good to be able to share with you this Friday evening. And it's been interesting, hasn't it, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, listening to our friends within the band bringing their thoughts on COVID and how this last year has kind of affected them. I think it's fair to say this 12 months been traumatic, obviously, for all of us in many different ways. And I want to particularly start at the very beginning, always a very good place to start. And I remember one particular evening being sat in our living room with both Janine and Sarah, and Uncle Boris made the announcement that schools were going to be closing. And I remember with actually fear and trepidation that very moment when he made that announcement, with Janine sat next to me and Sarah sat opposite in the other settee. And Sarah looked at me, and once the announcement was made that schools were closing and there would be no exams, Sarah looked at me and said, "What happens now, Dad?" And I have to say, as a parent, it would probably be one of the most telling times in my life, when really I just had to look at her and also Janine and really just shrug my shoulders and said I didn't really know what was going to happen. And that was one time, I would say at the very start, where I felt absolutely hopeless. There we were in our tight family circle, sharing together, listening to this bombshell of news about schools closing. And my daughter asking me a question that I would never have perceived of or even anticipated. What happens now, Dad? And then to have to give the answer, I have no idea. That was the start of our COVID experience as a family and as me as an individual. From then really we kind of like almost went into what I guess Salvationists do, that busy mode about how do we keep busy. And certainly at work we've been busy throughout these last 12 months. And at times it's been something to hide behind. It's something that has helped at times to relieve stress and anxiety. But within that as well, it's always brought challenges. There have been some days where, for all I work for Salvation Army, there have been a couple of occasions when going to work was perhaps the last thing on my mind. Now, I know other people will have perhaps gone through a very more stressful journey than I have, but to go to work and try and put a cheery face on when at times with some of the anxieties that I've had have been very much in the forefront of my mind, and then to be confronted or to meet with people who are probably in a far worse situation than I, and being able to support them in a very practical way with food parcels, but also at times with other advice that has been requested. Been numerous occasions where individuals have come to the door and dropped gifts off of food and have wanted so eagerly to engage in conversation. I remember one particular lady, Eva. Now, this lady isn't known to you, and maybe just as well, but I share this story with you. This particular morning, I didn't really feel like, engaging with people. Yes, I do have those moments. And this particular lady, an elderly lady, had made her way to the centre with one of those shopping trolleys, had made her way to the centre, had knocked on our door, and like dutiful staff, they had said, "Graham, there's a lady here to see you." Went to meet this lady. She said to me, "Are you Graham?" "Yes, I'm Graham." And she says, "I've brought you a few bits and pieces for the food bank." She came into the centre because we're all COVID safe, as you would expect in a public building. And in she came, and she left these gifts with us. And she says, "What's happened is I've actually sold this, my daughter's jewellery. Sadly, my daughter's died, and what's happened is I'm selling or sold her jewellery and are donating these gifts to you, the Salvation Army." Immediately, there was a check in my own spirit. As I'd already indicated to you, I didn't particularly feel like having a conversation with anybody at this particular moment in time. The conversation went on, and the lady then told me a bit of her life story. Her daughter had emigrated to Australia. She'd visited her daughter on a number of occasions, and she felt at the age of 86 that the travel was getting to be too much for her, and had decided not to travel anymore. In the last visit her daughter made, the daughter came home to the UK from Australia and spent time with her mum, and then went back where the daughter had created a new life for her. This lady then told me that her daughter was a recovering alcoholic, and I said the words that she used, not words that I would choose to use, and she said that her daughter was a funny girl. And from that, the conversation went on to say, and this lady then said that her daughter was a lesbian. And as the conversation went on, she then went to say that her daughter had phoned her up only a few months ago and said, "Mum, I'm going down to the off licence to buy some alcohol." Her mum naturally was very upset about this and tried to dissuade her. The next contact that she had from that particular situation was a phone call to say that her daughter had committed suicide. As I stood in my room, I can tell you without a shadow of doubt, I really did feel the Lord very near to me. That He had sent this lady with her offering of gifts to the Salvation Army from the proceeds of selling her daughter's jewellery. As I stood there, I asked that the Lord would provide me with strength, and that He would deal with my heart and would check my spirit. And I guess, like many of you, the only thing I could say at that particular time was to say, "I don't understand your situation, Yes, I've suffered loss in my life, but I don't understand the situation that you've faced. All I can do is pray. And for a few moments, where we stood, I shared a prayer with this lady, Eva. Eva, as I've already said, is probably not known to you at all, which is probably just as well, as I've shared that story with you. But I was so thankful that on that day, Eva came to visit us. Eva had struggled to get to the centre and was not as mobile as perhaps one would expect. But she left her gifts with us. And since that time, we've been able to kind of not repay, but share with her the support of the community in a different way. It reminds me of my lot, where I faced on that March night where Boris announced to us all that schools were closing, and my hopelessness at that particular situation. In intervening times, there have been many blessings where people have come along and shared with us at Austin House Family Centre. I am thankful for the opportunity of being able to share with an absolutely fantastic team. It would be remiss to single anybody out, because there are so many of them, and I have such a privilege to serve with an amazing team. Some of you who hopefully will be watching this, and I thank you most sincerely for the support you have given. For the support that each and every one of you have given over a long period of time, I thank you for that. I go back then to my own experience. I also shared in travelling down to Sheffield to, dare I say it, deposit my daughter there in Sheffield along with Janine. And as we waved farewell to Sarah on her new adventure, I can honestly say the scriptures of, nothing can separate us from the love of God became very real and true to me. And throughout this COVID epidemic, I think I've cherished those words that are kind of like ingrained within my mind, that tells me that nothing on this earth can separate us from God's love. Nothing can separate Sarah from the love of her parents. And I hope through her growing up within our fellowship that she knows for herself that nothing can separate her from the love of God. I am thankful for the opportunities to share as a bandsman that Christmas Saturday as we went round and played the gospel to people within our own fellowship. The joy that brought to them, but also the sense of purpose it brought to me and to Janine as we were able to share together in playing army music once again. The piece of music I've chosen for this evening is to some extent very personal, and if hopefully you're able to hear the music and see the scenes that are portrayed there, you will recognise the words for yourself and perhaps take them to your own heart. It's very evident for me, and I believe for my family, but I trust that you will enjoy the music of the prelude Lavenham. The words and the music will undoubtedly speak for themselves. May God richly bless each and every one of you and keep you safe. And may we once again enjoy the fellowship of Millfield Band once again on a Friday night. May the Lord bless thee and keep thee. Amen.